Drones are very popular these days among hobbyists, for example. Governments use them, emergency workers, militaries around the world. Perhaps you have one at home, too. But the attacks that we saw last Saturday on two major oil facilities in Saudi Arabia are raising new concerns about drones and their potential use as weapons. We have a new senior technology reporter here at CBC News, but it's someone you know well already, Thomas Dagg, no longer in our London bureau, but look at you here in our Toronto studio. Where you're going to be. I know, it's nice to have you here, and we'll look forward to your new beat and seeing you regularly on these issues. But as we talk about this, Saturday's attack, the strikes that we understand involve several cruise missiles, but about 20 drones. Now, tell us a little bit more about the drones that were used there.
Well, this is, educated guesses.
Right. We don't have specifics, do we?
We don't have the specifics because Houthi rebels based in Yemen were quick to say that they did this on Saturday, but the U.S., in fact, believes that it is Iran that was responsible. We don't know for sure where these drones took off from, or same for the cruise missiles. But what we do know is based on a UN Security Council report released earlier this year on these new drones that the Houthi rebels got their hands on. They're referred to as UAVX. That's Unmanned Aerial Vehicle X drones. You can tell perhaps from that name that it's kind of mysterious.
Yes.
There very little is known other than the few details in this report. The belief is that these can travel at speeds of upwards of 250 kilometers an hour. And what's really astounding is how far they can go, upwards of 1,500 kilometers. And when you think about that, that's from here in Toronto all the way to Winnipeg, just about, on a single charge. And they're known as suicide or kamikaze drones, which means that they're intended to explode on impact or be used just once. And they look nothing like the drones that you would imagine when you think about a drone that you would get at the department store, the electronics store, which usually use rotors to fly. These look more like small jets, really.
Really? Okay. And then you mentioned how fast they go, how far they can go. That must make them very difficult to defend against.
Well, in fact, they go fast for something that you would consider a drone, but slower, and they are lower than what air defense systems are used to looking for. So ballistic missiles, for instance, and fighter jets. So they are hard to defend against. One expert I was speaking with said that they can be spotted within tens of kilometers rather than hundreds of kilometers. And it is the swarm effect that is so dangerous. When in this case you had upwards of 20 drones used in this attack, that's partly what makes it so difficult to defend against, because the defense systems for drones are often based on guns. You have to shoot them down. And oftentimes, think of Saudi Arabia. It's a big country, lots of critical oil infrastructure and defense infrastructure. They simply don't have the capacity to have those defense mechanisms in place for so many drones across such a big country.
So given all of that, what is the thinking about the potential for an increasing number of this kind of drone attacks?
Well, that is the fear, because not only is it difficult to defend against, it's also generally sort of cheap in defense terms. So one expert I was speaking with said an attack like this using drones probably cost tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars, much less than the defense systems that are needed to fight missiles. But consider those drones that you can buy at the department store. And we're not going to share that video with you right now, but ISIS has been known to attach grenades to those civilian-style drones and mount attacks using those. So the fear is one day militant groups or criminal groups could mount such an attack in a big city, but probably not tomorrow, Heather.
Okay. It's the kind of thing you're going to be covering in your new beat. We'll look forward to our next conversations. And incidentally, if you want to read more about this kamikaze drones, Thomas has written a piece online at CBCNews.ca. Thank you, Thomas Dagg, in Toronto.